Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. Today on ABC News Live, an ABC News exclusive. The CEO of Southwest Airlines gives his first television interview after that massive travel meltdown. What he's saying about what went wrong and how Southwest hopes to make it right. Plus, two big storms are on the move, bringing heavy snow, rain, and flooding fears. We have the forecast, the track, and what it could mean for your New Year's Eve. And the year in news, we take a look at the top stories of 2022. But we begin with that travel meltdown. Southwest Airlines says it is resuming normal service today after a week-long mess that left passengers stranded, flight crews unaccounted for, and baggage scattered across the country. Now the Department of Transportation is weighing in on its investigation. Elwin Lopez has more.
After nearly 16,000 canceled flights, Southwest Airlines finally catching up.
All the flexibility and planning that we put in place to deal with the storm just wasn't enough. And so we've extended flexibility for self-service travel changes through January 2nd.
Fewer than 50 flights canceled today so far. This after 96% of airline cancellations on Thursday came from Southwest, scrapping holiday plans for thousands. The Sethmans forced to return home after their flight was delayed multiple times, then canceled, leaving the airport without their baggage and without car seats for their two children.
We had to hold our kids in the car and in the back seat because Southwest said there was no loaner car seats. They had been out since the day before.
Southwest now facing another daunting challenge, returning a sea of luggage strewn across airports nationwide. The company's stock plunging as other airlines stabilize their own. As for those nearly 16,000 flights canceled since last Wednesday, the Department of Transportation now investigating.
We will penalize Southwest as we would any airline to the tune potentially of tens of thousands of dollars per violation if they fail to meet what is required of them to take care of passengers.
And Diane, Southwest says it will work on a case-by-case basis with passengers to reimburse them for those expenses incurred during the disruptions. The Department of Transportation says it will be keeping a close eye on the airline to make sure that it meets its legal obligations. Diane.
All right, Elwin Lopez, thank you. And earlier on GMA, Whit Johnson spoke to the CEO of Southwest Airlines, Bob Jordan, in his first TV interview since those cancellations started. Here's our ABC News exclusive.
So your airline has said normal operations will resume today. How confident are you that will hold through the holiday weekend? And can you promise a meltdown of this magnitude won't happen again?
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, we're off to a great start today. I'm watching the stats, and we've launched the East Coast, and we have a great operation underway. It's our full schedule, 3,900 plus flights. We had a reduced schedule for about 3 days here prior as we reset the network. That reduced schedule the last 2 days has been running great, over 90% on time, very few cancels, so I'm very confident that we'll operate a really tight operation today.
As you know, we're days into this, thousands of flights canceled, people stranded over the holidays, your own pilots and crew members unable to reach the people responsible for scheduling them. How did things go so horribly wrong?
Well, it's a number of things. This was just an unprecedented storm for everybody, for all airlines. It was widespread across the country, record cold. For us, what's different is we are the top airline in 23 of the top 50 cities, so it just hit so many large locations at the same time. And we had record temperatures that did things like froze jetways, froze aircraft, froze de-icing fluid. And when you're trying to solve a problem in so many locations, it becomes very, very difficult. Airlines count on the aircraft and the passengers and the crew members continuing to move, and when all that shuts down in so many locations, it becomes very, very tough. And at some point, solving that problem, and we have great tools and processes, but solving that problem becomes very daunting.
Bob, forgive me. You talked about, forgive me here. You did talk about the weather, and people understand that. And there were widespread cancellations due to the weather across the country with other airlines. But Southwest's situation was very different. Thousands of cancellations continued for days and days. Some have blamed the technology. What is your response to the system you operate and whether that needs to be updated too?
Yeah, I'm not. Let me just be straightforward here. The storm had an impact, but we had impacts beyond the storm that obviously impacted Southwest very differently. It really was the scope of the problems attempting to be solved, just to move crews around, keep the airline moving. We have great tools. We have regular operations. Those tools and processes serve us well, but this is something that we have really never seen in our 51 years. And we're making investments in our operational areas like always. There'll be lessons learned from this, and we'll continue to make more investments.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said that your airline could be fined thousands of dollars per violation if you don't deliver refunds to passengers whose flights were canceled. Can you guarantee those passengers will get refunds in a timely manner?
I've had a great conversation with the Secretary. We're aligned. There's no greater focus beyond safety than taking care of our customers. We're offering refunds, covering expenses. We'll be going back out with even more after that. That's the goal of the Secretary, obviously, is to cover our customers and take care of them. So we're aligned there. And beyond safety, there is no greater focus at this point than taking care of our customers, reuniting them with their bags, getting refunds processed. In fact, we've got a special website that's put up just to take refund information, baggage information, expenses, to process that even faster.
And what about some of the expenses beyond the ticket refunds? Extended hotel stays. Some people had to rent cars. Many passengers whose flights were canceled had to rebook more expensive tickets to get home, even on Southwest. What's your obligation to them?
Well, our desire is to go above and beyond. We always take care of our customers. That's our 51-year history here at Southwest Airlines. We'll be looking at and taking care of things like rental cars, hotel rooms, meals, booking customers on other airlines. So that will all be part of what we're covering here as we reimburse our customers and make good on this issue. I want to be really frank. I mean, this has impacted so many people, so many customers over the holidays. It's impacted our employees, and I'm extremely sorry for that. There's just no way almost to apologize enough, because we love our customers, we love our people, and we really impacted their plans.
Will there be accountability for this meltdown? Some have called for you or other executives to resign. What's your response to that?
You know, I think step one is to get the operation back on track. The best way to serve our customers is to get the network going again. And I'm really pleased that we're here today and we're going to run a full network. A close second is to take care of all the things that occurred during the issues, get refunds processed, get bags moving, those kinds of things. Talk to our customers and take care of them. There'll be a lot of lessons learned that come out of this. We already had a great plan to invest in tools and technology and processes, as we always do, but there'll be a lot of lessons learned in terms of what we can do to make sure that this never happens again, because this needs to never happen again.
Our thanks to Whit Johnson for that interview. And if you're traveling this weekend, get ready for more bad weather. 2 major storms are hitting coast to coast, expected to bring heavy snow and torrential rain just before the new year. Mola Lenghi has more on that. Hi, Mola.
Well, Denver's sitting between those 2 major storm systems crossing the nation. That first one that dumped snow on us earlier this week, now moving east, affecting millions and millions of people. The plains and parts of the Midwest in the crosshairs overnight. Heavy, wet snow creating treacherous road conditions in Nebraska. Back here in Colorado, check out what happened in Weld County, just outside Denver. A huge pileup on the interstate involving around 24 vehicles Thursday. While authorities have not said weather was a contributing factor, roads were icy, there was freshly fallen snow on the ground, just some tough driving conditions. Fortunately, injuries were only minor, but now we are bracing for that second storm system currently impacting the West Coast, moving east, expected to be here by Sunday, potentially making for a very messy start to the new year, Diane.
All right, Mola Lenghi, thank you. And let's go to meteorologist Danielle Breezy now for the forecast. Hi, Danielle.
Yes, we are tracking 2 weather systems as we head into the holiday weekend. The first one going to impact the east. Take a look at this. We can see the rain spreads east as we head into Friday, and really Saturday, the northeast is impacted. Now, notice Buffalo. We had all that snow. Now, with temperatures in the 40s, it's going to melt. We have flood watches up, not to mention ice jams are a threat. Now, as the ball drops, we're going to be in the upper 40s in New York City, in the 50s in Boston, and mid-50s in D.C. Yes, there could be some rain around. We're also watching that secondary system. An atmospheric river has formed from Hawaii all all the way into the West Coast, spreading in that moisture. You see 11 states now under some sort of storm alert, from wind to flooding to winter weather, even avalanche warnings. Now, the waves of rain look like this. We're going to time it out for Friday night into Saturday morning for San Francisco. Then we're also talking about heavy mountain snow. As we head into New Year's Eve night, LA is going to get wet for that time period, and we are talking about impressive amounts of snow in the mountainous regions. Now, the Bay Area could see 3 to 4 inches of rain. When we're talking about snow, the Rockies 2 to 3 feet, but yes, the Sierra 48 inches to almost 5 feet of snow, not out of the question. Diane.
All right, meteorologist Danielle Breezy, thank you. And former President Trump is now responding after the House Ways and Means Committee publicly released his tax returns from 2015 to 2020. It's an updated version of what we saw last week when the committee released their report with some of those tax numbers in it. Now, in a statement, Trump said the tax returns show his businesses have been successful and called their public release a, quote, dangerous two-way street. Our team is combing through the new release, and we will bring you the latest as we learn more. Representative-elect George Santos is facing more scrutiny as yet another prosecutor's office takes a closer look at his background. He's now facing questions over everything from his campaign spending to his mother's death. Aaron Katursky has the latest.
Congressman-elect Santos has said his mother was in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on 9/11.
I get emotional. My parents were both down there the day of the attacks, and fortunately none of them passed.
In a tweet last year, Santos said 9/11 claimed my mother's life. In a different tweet, he said she died in 2016. His website said Santos's mother died of cancer, making no link to September 11th, and his campaign is not clarified. Santos has claimed 4 of his employees were killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting. He conceded this week it wasn't true.
Did anyone who worked for you perish in the Pulse nightclub shooting?
That worked for me directly? No.
Santos has also claimed to have attended the elite Horace Mann School here in New York City, but said he did not graduate for financial reasons.
They sent me to a good prep school, which was Horace Mann Prep in the Bronx.
The school told us there's no record Santos was ever there. He has now tried to move on after admitting to what he called embellishments of his resume.
I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake. I'm having to admit this in national television for the whole country to see.
But Democrats in his district have had enough.
We not only don't want to be represented by any clown in local government, in state government, but especially not in our nation's capital.
To tamp down the scandal, Santos has been telling local Republican leaders he plans to serve one term and not run for re-election. The GOP chairman in his district said he wouldn't support Santos anyway in 2024, mentioning no objection to Santos taking office on Tuesday. And that's despite a new report in the New York Times that questions how Santos spent campaign money on everything from rent to meals to airfare. Diane?
They're really scrutinizing everything. Aaron Katursky, thank you. Coming up, rest in peace, Pele. How the world is remembering the life and legacy of one of soccer's greatest. Welcome back. Tributes are pouring in for soccer legend Pele. The 82-year-old three-time World Cup champion, considered one of the best players ever, died yesterday surrounded by family. ABC News' Matt Rivers has a look at the life and legacy of the man who gave us O Jogo Bonito, or the beautiful game.
Here comes Pele. This morning, the sports world united in grief as it mourns Pele, a man many consider the greatest soccer player of all time. The Brazilian soccer legend passed away in a Sao Paulo hospital at the age of 82. Pele, battling colon cancer, had been hospitalized since late November, his daughter announcing his death on social media, writing, "Everything we are is thanks to you. We love you infinitely. Rest in peace." Born Edson Arantes do Nascimento in 1940, he grew up in poverty, in part honing his skills by kicking a rolled-up sock stuffed with rags.
Pele, number 10, always the master and the scorer of goal number 3.
Making his World Cup debut as a 17-year-old in 1958, Brazil's victory there rocketing him to global stardom.
Pele, overcome by the excitement of it all.
He would go on to win 3 World Cups in all, the only player in history to do so. For the next 2 decades, Pele mesmerized fans around the globe with his dazzling display of skill. Play after play, his fluid style and graceful footwork made him the face of the beautiful game. And Brazil's yellow jersey, one of the most iconic uniforms in sports.
Football always was the best promoter of Brazil, no? Always put Brazil in the top.
Pele came out of retirement in 1975 to join the New York Cosmos, helping to popularize the sport in the U.S.
It showed exactly the global appeal of soccer and how it can be brought to and delivered to a U.S. audience. He really set the bar at a very high standard that I'm not sure anybody has eclipsed yet.
Tributes for the man known as the King of Soccer pouring in. President Biden writing, Pele's rise from humble beginnings to soccer legend is a story of what is possible. And Brazilian superstar Neymar, who wears Pele's number 10, posting, he's gone, but his magic remains. Pele is forever. And overnight, another great number 10 paying tribute, Argentinian Lionel Messi, writing on Instagram, rest in peace. Of course, Messi in Argentina just won the World Cup, and Pele was watching. In his last Instagram post before he died, he congratulated Messi and Argentina, saying what a gift it was to watch the World Cup. Diane?
Matt Rivers, thank you. And we have breaking news now. A man has been arrested in connection with the murders of 4 college students in Idaho. Sources say authorities knew who they were looking for and had tracked that man down in Pennsylvania. A SWAT team made the arrest and took him into custody. This is a developing story, and we will bring you more as we learn it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to ABC News Live. The Diocese of Rome is holding a special public mass in Pope Benedict's honor today. The former pope is said to be in serious but stable condition after falling very ill a few days ago. The Vatican said last night Pope Benedict was able to rest well and participated in Mass in his room, and that at present his condition is stationary. The fashion world is mourning the death of British designer Vivienne Westwood. Westwood, who played a key role in the punk fashion movement, started designing in the 70s, taking the world by storm with her provocative urban street style. She later transitioned from punk to high fashion. Vivienne Westwood was 81. And if you're feeling lucky today, well, it's the day to go get your Mega Millions ticket. There's at least $640 million up for grab in tonight's drawing. Lottery officials say beating the odds and winning tonight would guarantee a very happy new year. And as 2022 draws to an end, it was a big year for news. The year started with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, then saw record-breaking weather events bookended with alarming surges of multiple respiratory illnesses. Here's a look at the top stories of 2022.
Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the largest invasion of a neighboring country in Europe since World War II.
We are not afraid, ready to defend our country.
Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians on the move.
It's very hard to leave my own country.
The U.S. government assesses that Russia's forces are committing war crimes.
Ukrainian troops taking back ground from the Russians.
We're going to continue to provide military equipment so that Ukraine can defend itself.
Growing fears of a possible recession as inflation hits a near 41-year high.
Everything is going up except our paychecks.
Travel chaos at airports across the country.
I've never seen it this packed.
Passengers left stranded.
A record number of crossings at the southern border, apprehensions topping 2 million for the first time ever.
The deadliest human smuggling case in U.S. history.
Over 60 men, women, and children in that trailer. Temperatures likely topped 150 degrees.
Record-breaking levels of COVID infections across the country.
The highly contagious Omicron variant now accounting for about 98% of new infections.
These are the sickest patients that we've seen in our entire careers.
The CDC authorizing COVID-19 vaccines for children 6 months and older.
The CDC easing COVID-19 restrictions when it comes to quarantining and testing.
Children's hospitals filling up as cases of respiratory viruses spike.
A triple-demic of COVID, the flu, and RSV.
Nobody wants to see their kid in this situation.
There have been more than 600 mass shootings in the U.S. this year, averaging more than 1 mass shooting a day.
10 people shot dead after a gunman opened fire in a predominantly black neighborhood.
This is an absolute racist hate crime.
Outrage in Uvalde, 19 students and 2 teachers killed.
They get paid to protect, to serve, and they didn't do nothing.
A gunman opening fire on families gathered at Highland Park's 4th of July parade.
It was just carnage and horrific.
7 people were killed, more than 30 others injured. A mass shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs.
5 people killed, at least 25 wounded.
Where are we supposed to go? How are we supposed to feel safe?
Senators approved the most consequential gun reform in nearly 30 years.
It will save lives.
Don't Say Gay bill that restricts classroom instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity.
It is trying to push LGBTQ individuals back into the closet.
I, Ketanji Brown Jackson, do solemnly swear.
The first black woman to take her seat on the U.S. Supreme Court.
The January 6th Select Committee laying out some of the evidence that it has been collecting for nearly a year.
The Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade that had stood for half a century.
Former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort raided by the FBI.
Allegations that Trump illegally removed documents from the White House.
Millions of Americans are heading to the polls.
Democrats retain control of the Senate. The GOP win in the House.
Wildfire disaster in Colorado. Now the most destructive fire in the state ever.
The global heat wave.
We have never in recorded history seen this type of heat.
Too hot.
A McKinney fire raging across Northern California, the largest fire in the state this year. The Washburn fire scorching parts of Yosemite National Park. Firefighters racing to protect the grove of giant sequoias.
A deadly flash flood emergency across the St. Louis area.
The highest 24 hours of rainfall on record.
Catastrophic Kentucky floods,
leaving entire towns underwater.
95% of the people in this area here has lost everything.
Historic rainfall in California's Death Valley.
The water level at Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the country, has dropped to an all-time low.
We're losing water right now 1.5 feet a week.
Hurricane Ian's catastrophic strike on Florida.
Now in the top 10 strongest hurricanes to make landfall in the U.S.
Protests raging across Iran over the suspicious death of Mahsa Amini,
Britain's longest-serving monarch, celebrating 70 years on the throne.
Queen Elizabeth II passing away peacefully at 96.
And the reign of King Charles III has begun.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announcing his resignation.
I want you to know how sad I am.
Liz Truss forced to step down.
Rishi Sunak is therefore elected
the third Prime Minister in just 7 weeks.
The U.S. Soccer Federation reached a historic agreement to provide equal pay for its female players.
This is just such a monumental step forward.
The new James Webb Telescope reaching deeper into the universe than ever before.
For the first time, we're seeing brand new stars that were previously completely hidden from our view.
Liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
Our thanks to News One for that look back. And wherever you are ringing in the new year, you can watch New Year's celebrations around the globe right here on ABC News Live. 2023 Around the World streams tomorrow all day and all night. And you can also catch it on Hulu. And also be sure to check out an Impact by Nightline marathon. We have straight-to-the-source reporting at the center of the stories that people across America are talking about. That's this Sunday, New Year's Day, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC News Live, or stream it anytime on Hulu. I'm Diane Macedo. Do stay with us as ABC News Live continues with more news, context, and analysis.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.